Okay. So I can edit out stuff. Like, I try not to say my son's name to keep him confidential, but I also try
I won't say his name.
It's okay if you do, because
Yeah.
I can edit it out. But
Yeah.
I try to be open and vulnerable, and just if there's anything that you say that you're like, oh, I really don't want that out there, like I want my anonymity, let me know and I'll get rid of it.
Okay.
It's a little bit awkward, but I want it to be natural, so we don't have to talk about all this stuff. Like if you want to go off topic or
I just thought I'd better keep myself a little bit focused.
No, I'd love for it to be organic and flow wherever you want it to go. Honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Thanks.
I better keep it focused.
Thanks for doing this. I really appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. So who's your other friend that's doing it?
So I've had a couple of friends on. So my friend Nedra and I have done, she was a sounding board for me to do my birth experience. So my first fertility journey and birth experience was my first episode. And then I had another episode with her. There's a dirty diaper on the floor right there. Sorry about that.
Hey, that happens when you have kids.
and then I had another podcast episode with her, but it didn't record.
Oh, dang it.
So we lost that one. And then I did one with my only friend from nursing school, Lexi. She's in Texas now. And then I've got one scheduled with Nedra next week, but she couldn't do this week, so I'm appreciated you did this one. But I'm going to do one with Peyton, and I'm going to do one with Lexi from the ward too.
Yeah.
So.
How's Peyton?
Good. She's going through a lot. She cares so much. And she's amazing, and she's going through. She's going to get on and talk about her fertility journey.
Good.
Kind of go into that stuff.
Good.
We're thinking about maybe doing an episode 2 where we clean out, go through her house and her bathroom and the kitchen cabinets and stuff. As she starts to think about switching things out. So
yeah,
I'm looking forward to that a lot. But yeah, they're going through a rough time.
Yes, they are.
The seasons of life.
Yes, they are. So, what products was she getting rid of?
So
I know that's something I need to do too. But I took the advice from somebody online that said, one of the first things is to drink purified water. And I do drink a lot of it. So I got the Zero water filter. Okay. And I'm loving that. Except it's one that you just have to pour your water into, and it's not like anything super fancy. I would like to get RO. Would you recommend RO?
So there's one brand that I was looking at that I'm a little bummed I didn't get, but I can't remember what it was. But Just Ingredients recommends it, and they're these big silver tanks.
Oh, okay. And
I think they filter through layers of rocks and stuff, and then they have like smaller filters and stuff too. I need to look more into that. What I do have and what I'm familiar with is an AquaTrue, which is a reverse osmosis filter. And I liked it, and I did a lot of research to buy it, but now I'm a little frustrated with it. I feel like it's really hard to find a good balance of minerals when you add back to it. So that's been a struggle. So
I found when I thought I was low, because maybe we should talk about this on our thing.
Yeah.
So anyway.
No, I would love to talk about anything and everything that you want to talk about. I was just making sure it was still recording.
Oh, it's recording right now?
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's great. I love it.
So anyway, I got a Zero filter. Anyway, now I'm awkward, so we gotta stop.
How are you feeling about your Zero filter?
Well, it's slow. I just have a quart jar that I put by it, and I just fill it, so it's not an automatic. I have to kind of do it on my own, but I like it.
That's good.
I feel good about not drinking the water after I looked up on the I don't know. It was online on the water.
The website for the...
Yes, it tells you what amounts of what toxins or whatever are above the recommended level. I didn't realize that
It's a lot. Yeah. Well, and something that they don't test for is pharmaceuticals.
Oh, so that's even minus the pharmaceuticals.
Yeah. So people have done tests on water and they found that there's a lot of birth control.
Oh, nice.
In our water, which is really scary. So I didn't start with filtered water, but the first step I ever took was drinking more water.
Oh.
And I have this dinged up water bottle that the lid broke too, and it's this Hydro Flask, and it is so dinged up. Roberto calls it my support water bottle. But that's the first thing I ever started with was drinking more water, and the water filter came, I think, soon after that. But it's a good thing to start with.
Yeah. So, I'm usually a pretty good water drinker. So I was already there with that. I just needed to make the water more pure.
Yeah.
I was drinking.
That's a great step. Well, and you're doing your rebounder. Are you liking that now that you've kind of gotten through that detox stuff?
Yes. So the first day that I jumped on it, and I read that rebounding for 10 minutes equals the same amount of exercise of running for 30. I don't know if it's true or not, but so I'm like, 10 minutes. I can do 10 minutes. Thought I was going to die. So it was hard. It's hard.
Yeah.
But that first day I was achy, felt like I had the flu. And I'm like, this is so weird. But I've had that experience before when I've done intense exercise. So I didn't know if it was something with my body or,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I've experienced it before. If I do more than walking, I feel like I have the flu, like when I first do it. But I decided I was going to push through it, and I did it the next day, and I thought, oh boy, I'm in for it. And I wasn't as achy the second day. So I think maybe what you speculated and I wondered about was that it could be the toxins.
Yeah.
I'm not really sure, but
Detox reaction, stuff trying to flush out. That's my personal experience, at least. Because I was super sick when I first started to move and exercise, and Roberto would be like, you gotta exercise, you gotta exercise, you gotta exercise. He was right. But I had it in my head that when I exercised, it was so painful. So I think I had a detox reaction thing going on top of it aggravating my nerve damage stuff, because my nerve damage is right along the lymph system. It's all those little small nerves. And so anytime anyone talks about exercise and flu-like symptoms and detox, it immediately brings me back to that experience. And it went away after I did several detoxes.
Oh, okay.
And I still feel it pop up when my lymph system's a little slow. But I've really noticed that in myself. So that's always what I think of.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I wondered if it was, and then I thought, I read something about how some people are just more sensitive to lactic acid, and I didn't know if that was it, but I feel relieved that I don't feel like that every time I exercise now. Because, I've done walking and I don't have that experience, but today I rebounded, and I did not ask Alexa to tell me how many minutes I had left until I only had 1 minute and 30 seconds left. And that was huge for me. I'm like, I can't believe I didn't get that desperate until
I am so proud of you. That is awesome. I feel like those are the little wins we have to celebrate.
Yes.
When I first started exercising, it was just walking and hiking. And I remember the first time I walked a mile, and I was like, whoa, wow, I did that. I was so proud of myself.
I know, if you compared it to somebody else, then you wouldn't feel so proud. But for you, against you, that was good for me. Yeah.
Just going around the walk, taking Laker on a walk was huge for me because I didn't die doing it, and before I felt like I wouldn't be able to do it no matter what.
So what we did with our rebounder is we had a recliner in our bedroom. Mm-hmm. And it had been there when my mom lived with me and I cared for my mom. It was her recliner, and she had our bedroom at the time because it had a shower that was easier for her to get in. And so that recliner got moved out of our room because I told my husband, I want to rebound instead of sitting in that chair. I know TV shouldn't be in the bedroom, but that is where my husband likes to watch TV. And so I said, okay, we're going to take that out. And we put the rebounder in there. And my husband is rebounding as well.
That's amazing.
I know. And it's so nice because you don't really have to do anything. You don't even have to wear shoes on them.
They're so
So
much
I just
fun.
get on there in the morning and jump and listen to my 80s and 90s music.
I love it. That 80s and 90s rock, that's where my soul is. Yes. I have such the weirdest taste in music, but my dad's 80s and 90s rock. So I can just picture myself in the morning going to AC/DC.
Yes. Jumping.
Rebounded in the morning. I love that. That sounds like a really great way to wake up.
It is. It's good. Well, it's good. I don't do it immediately as I step out of bed, but it's really easy. Like, you don't have to put on, your shoes and put on your exercise clothes. Even though I do. I mean, I got to use some support.
Yeah.
Jumping on the trampoline. But besides that, I could, just get on and go.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So how long have you been doing that for?
When did I text you? I think it's been
It's
like
months.
a week and a half.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I decided to do it every other day. The second day I did it, when I just first started, back into being serious about it, I was like, oh my gosh, it's harder the second day. And then I jumped again after that. It still felt about like at 5 minutes, I was like, Alexa, how much time on the timer? It was like 4 minutes, almost 5 minutes. But I skipped and I jumped today, and that was just so amazing to see that I had gotten stronger. In fact, when the timer went off, I was like, I could probably go another 5 minutes. But I didn't because I had to get to work. So
That's awesome. I love that. I remember you reached out to me, it had to be a couple of months ago, about my rebounder.
yes.
Yeah, and so I was thinking all the way back then. But yeah, you have to celebrate those little wins. I got a concussion recently, so I was in the best habit of using it. So I was probably not like for a ton, like probably like a minute to 3 minutes like every day. I was jumping on it, but I got a concussion and I tried to bounce on it with Jay, and it was like, no,
we're not doing
so
that.
I had to wait.
I bet I can imagine that hurt.
I had to wait 2 weeks. Well, I waited 2 weeks and then I just started doing it again. I realized how out of the habit I got so fast. So now I'm
so much harder to get into the good habits.
Yes.
Than to get out of them.
It is. It really is. And there's something that I was reading online forever ago when I first started my health journey, and it really stuck with me. It was talking about like the amount of time it takes to create a habit. And I think it was 4 weeks.
I had to do this for 4 weeks. But with it getting easier, it's really not that bad.
Yeah.
Like, I can fit 10 minutes in there. I'm going to try to do strength training for just a short period of time in the morning.
Yeah.
I feel like that's the hardest thing, is like fitting it in when it's convenient. Like when you don't have to go somewhere after you've been all sweaty and like, or, realizing, okay, I exercise and then I probably need a shower. So
I feel that
just
too.
fitting it in.
Well, I'm still dressed in my volleyball knee pads from this morning. I do that the Brookside ward has that volleyball group that I do Monday and Wednesday mornings, but I've been really consistent with that, minus my concussion weeks. It's probably been maybe almost 6 months since I started going. And it's honestly been the most consistent exercise outside of like walking. And I did really good swimming while I was pregnant, but I really need to work on strength training. I fail at that really bad.
I've really liked on my rebounder because I will hold on to that bar. My bar, I feel like it's a little bit higher. And I can do like, leg lifts or different things so I can focus on my legs or just do a lot with my arm movement and feel like I'm doing toning as well. But I was going to try to do a little bit of low weight training on the days that I don't rebound. But.
Yeah, I think that's a good goal. For me, I'm trying to get at least 1 day of weightlifting in, I think is what I need to do. Because I've been focusing on like trying to get like 2, 3, 4 days in, and I fail, and then I get so bogged down in the fact that I didn't do what I planned to do that I just don't do it at all. And I need to just get over that and just do it, even if it's just 1 day a week. I'm trying to do more strength training with weights, but it's hard to get a good workout routine, especially when you don't like it. Like the rebounding for like 3 minutes a day, I really enjoy. And I could do it for longer. Maybe that's what I should do. Try to include longer. You're inspiring me. I'll try 10 minutes.
Yeah, it makes me feel so good to know like that I heard it's like running 30 minutes. I'm like, I can do 10 minutes. But it is more intense than even running.
Yeah, I believe you. Yeah.
For me, at 52. I'm like, I can't believe when I was a kid that I would jump like all afternoon. Like, didn't feel like anything. Now jumping on a trampoline is exercise.
But I wonder, so like for me swimming, I probably swam like 1 to 3 times a week when I was pregnant. I've found that I can't do that when I have a kid because he'll drown.
Yes, absolutely.
Unless I have someone else there.
I know, and swimming's supposed to be so good for you. But I actually did water aerobics for quite some time when I was the caretaker for my mom. That was kind of my time. Yeah. I love being in the pool because it feels so good. If you have an achy body, like my joints, I don't even know if it's my joints or my muscles that ache, but it just feels so good. And it's good strength training. But the drawback with that is the pool was in Springville and I'd have to come back home before I go to Provo to work, and it just
didn't work.
And I didn't like getting ready in their bathroom. It was kind of yucky. Not yucky, but
it's a public locker room. Yeah, it is a little yucky. I feel that. Yeah. Especially when you have to like get ready for the whole day. Like it's one thing to just get ready to get into your car and go home, but to be at work I understand that. Yeah,
I wish I had my own pool.
Yeah, me too.
And then I might do it every day because I love it.
Then I really don't want to do pool maintenance though.
No. No.
One of my moms did water aerobics when I was a teenager, and I went with her a couple times, and I remember doing it. It was fun. I think that for me, like I like swimming laps and I like doing diving training. But it's really hard to do when you have a kid, and also the Springville thing. Like that 25 minute drive is no joke. No, it doesn't seem like it, but it is. When you have to go there and back, and then that's 40 minutes. That's 40 minutes in the morning, and then you have to get ready and go back the same way you came back. And well, for me, getting someone in the car, having someone with
if you have a kid. I mean, I don't even have a kid.
It's still a lot.
Yeah. But it's just if I just want my own bathroom to get ready in it.
I feel that.
And then you have to wash off the chlorine
Yeah.
And then how it affects your hair and different things. So I probably could get one of those cap things. And I didn't. I never did.
I have one of those cap things, and it still doesn't work as great, honestly.
Yeah.
If I, like, put, like, conditioner in my hair and then put the cap on, I feel like it works better. But I feel like then I have to put something in my hair before I do it. It's just another step.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I feel that. All right. So I'm really excited to answer your questions. But I do want to say that I am no expert and that I might say something wrong or not have the right information, and that I'm gonna do my best.
Okay.
Okay.
So I've known you for a little while, and I know that you had a health journey that was really difficult and went from doctor to doctor and was in a lot of pain with an autoimmune condition. Because I've known you a little bit closer, I know how much you study into everything that you have had to help yourself, getting to a point where you went from being bedbound to living an active life and having a darling little boy. So
thank you. I really appreciate that.
So and since I've known you, I've tried to pick your brain all the time. I know. So, but I have really wanted to work on my microbiome, and I've heard that there are like health conditions or different things that can occur due to an unhealthy microbiome in my gut. So what do you know about that?
Okay, so 70% of our immune system is our gut interacting with what goes through it and then telling our brain what's going on. It's huge. Our gut is our second brain, and it is the tactile sense that the brain has to tell the body what to do and where to go. And microbiome dysfunction is so real. And let me just tell you how real it is from this personal experience that's going on right now. Have you noticed my son's bow legs? Mm-hmm. They're pretty bad. Mm-hmm. So next time you get it, you probably haven't been like watching it, but they've gotten significantly better.
Okay.
And it's because we've been treating them, and you wouldn't believe that it's related to his microbiome. So when he was 2 months old, he had a UTI.
Okay.
Had to have antibiotics, wiped out his microbiome, and he has not been absorbing calcium, even though he's had plenty in his diet. And so he has rickets, which they say is really rare, and they only diagnose when it's so severe that they test for it. And they just tell us all that bow legs are normal. And I was just told it's normal, it'll go away on its own. It's normal, it'll go away its own. And then several people were like, hey, it's bad. Like, go get it checked out. And the pediatrician's like, no, even if I were to give you a recommendation to a specialist, they wouldn't do anything because he's not a surgical candidate yet.
Wow.
That's what I was told. So finally, enough people got to me, and I was like, I have to go somewhere. So I went to a holistic doctor here in Payson. And he's like, yeah, it looks like rickets. And he put Jay on...
Do they test for rickets?
So they can test, like, the vitamin D levels and the calcium levels. But he didn't test for it. He's just like, let's start treating it. And if it gets better, it's rickets. And that's what we did. And it got better within 3 days.
Wow.
3 days of treatment, his legs started to straighten out. And so I had already kind of assumed this was going on, and I had started giving him high-dose vitamin D, and I had been giving him calcium, so I was so confused of why he didn't have calcium, so I just thought it was the vitamin D. But it turns out the calcium I was giving him, it wasn't bioavailable. It was something his body really had to change to be able to use. And but he had milk. He has lots of different forms of calcium, but he wasn't absorbing it because of his gut microbiome, and his digestion was so poor. And so I had been giving him slippery elm, which is something that coats the side of the digestive tract and helps to regrow the mucous membrane in our digestion tract and like close the gap junctions for leaky gut.
Stephanie, I just have to interrupt you for a minute. I can't believe, of all children, that your child had an unhealthy microbiome, because I've watched you do everything right.
Yeah, it's crazy.
His diet is great. Wow, that is amazing.
Yeah.
How much effect those antibiotics had.
Yeah. It is crazy to me. I am astonished that we have so much knowledge about the microbiome and how important it is, how detrimental antibiotics are, how overused antibiotics are, also how many treatments we have alternative to antibiotics, and yet we still don't have a program in place post-antibiotic to rebuild the microbiome. And so this has been kind of like a new thing for me. And like I've worked on healing it in myself, and I'm honestly learning a lot about furthering healing my gut from this experience with my son. And so it's crazy because his whole life he has had the poorest digestion. And I knew it was off, but I've also never had a kid before, and the pediatrician's telling me, oh, it'll fix itself. It's fine, it'll fix itself. But he has undigested food in his poop every single day. And I knew in the back of my head, it's like, that's not normal. That's not normal. Like, something's going on. And then he's had these, he's been a late teether to the lack of calcium. You've got the bow legs. And then he also has struggled a little bit with his immune system, like just lags of colds. And then he also has these water warts, which he picked up at the pool.
What typically causes rickets?
So rickets is a lack of vitamin D and calcium.
So that's what, okay, wow.
Yeah, it's a deformity in the long bone. And so even though he goes outside every day, and he had plenty of sources of calcium, because his body isn't absorbing
he goes outside so much. His hair's blonde instead of brown.
Yes.
He's outside plenty of the sun.
I mean, we don't get outside every day, but like today we went on a little 10-minute walk around just the yard and down around the pond, and like we get outside. And so and I'm also still breastfeeding him, so like he's getting the nutrition that he needs, but because his microbiome is so poor. Yeah.
Wow.
So I'm learning a lot. So this holistic doctor is helping me and guiding this process, and so I took him off of the slippery elm, and we put him on a digestive enzyme, high-dose calcium, high-dose omega-3s in the form of fermented cod oil, and it's flavored with cinnamon. And we're getting probiotics from a lot of different sources, and we're doing a laser light for his little water warts. He's got 3 of them. But I've literally been fighting these things for over 6 months. They're so stubborn. And I haven't been able to get rid of them because his gut is off. It's all...
That is insane to me.
Linked to his gut. Yeah. And
wow.
And so his digestion got worse after I started all of that. Hi, welcome home. His digestion got worse after I will. His digestion got worse after I started all of that. And so I put him back on the slippery elm. And then the combination of all of that just clicked. And his digestion is better than it's ever been. And his legs are improving.
The combination of what?
So slippery elm, digestive enzymes, and then high-dose calcium, vitamin C. It's a bioavailable calcium, vitamin C, and omega-3s.
Wow.
And then lots of probiotic sources trying to build up that gut microbiome that he's just been depleted in.
So that brings me to another question.
Yeah.
If someone doesn't like fish, what supplement is best to get omega-3?
So this one that I bought, I really like the ingredients on it because it's literally just fermented cod oil and cinnamon, and I don't think it tastes very bad.
Okay.
But there's this brand called Brawlings that the doctor recommended. that I'm going to see, and he recommended it because it tastes so good.
Okay.
And it's
What's the brand name?
It's Brawlings.
Okay.
BRAULINE', I think. And you have to refrigerate it, but it is, so basically if you have a omega-3 supplement, if it's not refrigerated, it's probably not the best quality. But the Brawlings one, it has a couple of ingredients in it I'm not a huge fan of, which is why I went with the cinnamon fermented cod oil one instead. But the doctor didn't have a problem with the ingredients. He's just like, take it. He recommends it for
with
adults.
omega-3s, then you hear about like making sure that it doesn't have the toxins that can commonly be found in fish.
Yeah.
How do you know? I mean, how do you find one that, or is that not something that should be, that is as much of a concern as you, I don't know, everything I think that I hear, I want to do it perfectly, and I don't want to add more toxins to my body, but is that something that should be enough of a concern that we should look into that? Or
I haven't heard enough on it, so I don't know if I can speak to if it's a huge concern. The way that I have approached supplements is by finding a brand that I trust. So, I don't know a lot about that Brawlings, but that doctor does, and he recommends it a lot. So, I don't know. I'm leaning towards trusting him.
Yes, yeah.
Because he's helped me so much. I liked the look of this one when I looked at it. I liked that it didn't have additive ingredients. I liked that they didn't know exactly what was in a dose because it's natural and the doses vary. I like that it was sourced and that I could look up a lot about the company. So I think it just depends on the company, and then you find companies that then you feel work for you and then you trust them.
Do you know what works for me? Is ask Stephanie. Then I totally trust it. I totally trust it. And I go with it. I figure if you could come back from where you were, that you've done research on the stuff that you use. Yeah. So.
Well, and some of it's been trial and error. Some of it's like, you know what, I'm going to try this, and it doesn't work. And I spent money on it, and it's like, gosh, dang it. And sometimes it works. And I found that things that work for me don't always work for someone else. But sometimes things that work for other people don't always work for me. And it's really a personal journey. Peyton, she's doing the Garrison therapy, the coffee.
Right now?
Yeah, she's been doing it.
I should have done it with her.
She's been doing it weekly. And she loves it, the coffee enemas.
Yes.
And so, that's working for her. But, there's some people that, they don't want to do that. It's not going to work for them. If I could get my husband to do that,
yes,
I know it would help him so much, but he's not going to do that.
I know. That's so true. Yeah, my sister and I want to get together and be our support people for each other to do that. But maybe I don't. So she's doing it once a week. Mm-hmm. Whereas when you were really doing, I think that you told me when you were doing a deep detox, that you were doing it for a week.
Yeah, so I actually started with doing it once a week. Okay. And then it wasn't enough. So it causes such an intense detox reaction, and then at least for me, I could feel it building and my nerves were on fire. So I could feel my body needing to get it out. And so I just wanted them all the time. I was having one every 2-3 days. And then I just was like, okay, I have to listen to the instructions. I had to humble myself. Be like, okay, I got to follow the instructions of the doctor that created this program. And so it's a coffee enema every 2 to 3 hours. And I skipped nights. And it's so worth it. To just dedicate
for how long
the time to do it if your body really needs it. So it's a coffee enema for every 2 to 3 hours for 1 to 2 days, and then you feel your body needing it. You'll feel it needing it, and then you spend the next 2 to 3 days doing it as much as your body needs it. So it could be every 4 or 5 hours, and you just kind of go as much as your body needs. So I would say it's a 3-day minimum, week maximum process. Probably 4 or 5 days to be safe. But it literally was such a complete, thorough detox. I had worms coming out of me. When I say legit worms, like thick, I have pictures of these thick worms that came out of me.
What were they? Where would you have gotten them?
So,
holy cow.
The more I learn about like detoxing and parasites, the more I learn that we all have parasites, and it's a root cause of a lot of our problems, and we don't diagnose them here in the United States. It's like we've completely erased them from our knowledge base. And we say it only happens in third world countries, but it's so not true. If you look back to like old doctor books, like old like records that doctors used to take, there's tons of evidence that we used to do like regular parasite cleanses, just like we do for our farm animals and our pets. And we don't do that anymore.
Interesting.
Very interesting. So I just got done with a detox. I did that herbal cleanse I was telling you about, which I realize isn't for everyone because there's a lot of steps and it can be very overwhelming. I'm
willing to do it. I just have to have it written out for me because my memory's like this long.
It's a lot. Like you start with triggering your bowel, and then you're going to the bathroom 3 times a day. And then you're taking something for your bladder and your kidneys to help them flush out everything. And then after you've done that for a week, you add in the liver. And then you do that for another week. So then you've got the bowel and the urine and the liver that you're taking.
At the same time.
At the same
you
time.
Just continue and add on.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And then you do that for a month. And then you add in the bloodstream one. And the bloodstream one takes everything out of the cells. And then it's flushed through. And so a good detox focuses on exit pathways. So when I started this journey, I made a lot of mistakes. One of the mistakes I did was trying ozone therapy. And I'm not saying that ozone therapy doesn't work for some people. I think it really, really helps some people. But when I went in, my exit pathways were so closed off. Like, just an example is I would get in a sauna, and I would sit in a sauna for the max amount of time I could stay in the infrared sauna at the max temperature was like 40 minutes. And that was pushing it for me. And I would only start sweating at the last like 5-10 minutes. So
sweating is
a detox pathway.
So I'm a good sweater.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Now I can get in the sauna and I can sweat right away. I can go to volleyball in the morning and I wear my sweater.
That is interesting.
On purpose to try to sweat, but my detox pathways were so shut down and closed off that I wouldn't sweat. And so I was also super constipated. I had a really bad and I am still working on that, and I'm really proud to say that I'm regular. Yes! That is an achievement. And also, like, I'm a mouth breather, too, and when you mouth breathe, that's a whole nother thing. Like, nose breathing is really important, so I've worked really hard to, like, nose breathe at night. Speaking of which, I need to get more tape. I do that little tape trick, if you've ever heard of that. Mm-hmm. But I need to get more tape for a long time. Yeah.
What kind of tape do you use for your tape? Taping your mouth?
Yeah, I just use like surgical tape that you get at Walmart.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just put a little strip and it works so well. And sorry, I just want to make sure that this is recording, so it's going to cut us off. So I was talking about detox pathways and ozone therapy. So I went in and my detox pathways were so closed off, and ozone therapy, they take, have you heard of it? So
maybe I don't know that for this reason. Go ahead.
So they withdrew my blood and then they put in ozone into the bag. So they injected ozone into the bag and shook it up. And what happened is the blood went from dark red to really, really bright.
Okay.
And so what happened is the oxygen separated. So it's basically oxygen but with an extra molecule. And so the extra molecule exited off and was gas. Mm-hmm. And then the ozone hyperoxygenated the blood, and then they put it back into my body.
Okay.
And so the whole point is to it's like the same premise of a hyperbaric oxygen chamber. Hyperoxygenate the body so that it can get all of the things out and like detox. And I did that, and I ended up in the hospital for a week. I couldn't, like, I moved all of these toxins out of my body, but they had nowhere to go, and they were sitting in my gut and my liver. I had gallbladder attacks, and I call it like the massive gut attack. Like, I would eat anything, and my gallbladder would have so much pain, and everything was sensitive to my stomach. So basically, I just rushed all these toxins to my gut, and they couldn't go anywhere, so they were sitting there, and they caused nerve damage in my gut. And that was, I had taken like 10 steps forward, and that was like 20 steps back.
Oh, goodness.
So I learned a lot about the importance of detoxing and opening up your detox pathways. So a good detox, and that's why like people get flu-like symptoms and these detox reactions is things are not open. So sometimes things can work themselves out, but if someone's like super, super ill or having super bad like side effects, it can be really detrimental to not have them open and to try to detox. And that's why I think detoxing gets a bad rap too sometimes, because oftentimes it makes things worse before it gets better. And if your detox pathways aren't open, it makes things a lot worse and will make you worse overall.
So tell me, since we're talking about detox pathways,
yeah,
what are all the detox pathways that we have?
So the biggest one is your bowel, and then you have urine, you have sweat, and you have breath.
Okay.
So those are the 4 detox pathways. And you also have your liver, which is kind of like an internal one. So your liver is what filters all of your blood, and it filters all of your blood every 5 minutes. And so what's really cool about that is our lymph system, it takes everything that it's gathered from all of our cells, all of the little things, the areolas and the venules and the little itty bitty spaces and what the cells dump into the extracellular spaces. That's what the lymph system does. It picks all that up. It's like the trash pickup, and it dumps it into the bloodstream. And then the liver filters it out of the bloodstream, and then it uses it's one of the ingredients, all these toxins, is biliary salt. So there's a lot of things in bile. One of them is biliary salts. Sorry, it filters it into bile. Bile is so cool. It has so many processes. There's biliary salts which help break down fats. There's these toxins, and then there's also, it uses it to replace electrolytes. So those are 3 of its functions, and I think I might be missing 1 or 2, but I think that's all of its functions. So basically what happens is the bile dumps, gets out toxins, breaks down fats, goes through the body, recycles electrolytes through the gut, and then is absorbed 3 to 4 times before it's excreted.
The bile? Mm-hmm. Absorbed where?
Through your gut.
Okay.
Yeah. So toxins can be reabsorbed 3 to 4 times before they're excreted, especially if you have a constipation problem, if you're not moving, if you have wide permeable gut gap junctions. And so what's really cool about the coffee enema is coffee, there's 2 active ingredients. There's the coffee enema and there's the palmitic acid. So the palmitic acid goes in, and it is the precursor to glutathione, and the liver makes glutathione. And that's why you lay on your right side instead of your left side, because the right side, so most enemas you lay on the left side because the goal is to get as deep as possible and clean stuff out. Mm-hmm. But with coffee enemas, you lay on your right side. One, you don't want things going in too deep. You just want it to sit at the bottom and get absorbed into the portal system, which is those big veins that connect directly to the liver. And so that palmitic acid goes to the liver, stimulates the process of glutathione, and the caffeine does 2 things. It vasodilates everything, opens everything up, causes all that bile and all those toxins to get dumped, and then it also scrubs the bile. So it attaches to the bile and makes it so that it doesn't reabsorb, and it gets excreted right away. And that is really helpful if you have a giant toxic load and you want to get it out really fast. And so like this doctor that I'm seeing for my son, he is a huge fan of like slow detox. And I tend to agree that that's the best thing to do in like daily life. But if you're like chronically ill and you want rapid change, putting the work in to like go through a hard detox and get it out really fast, I cannot recommend highly enough.
You want relief.
Yeah. It changed my life.
Yeah.
I went from recovering to being recovered, and then to go on
Living.
Yeah, living. And not just living. I had been so sick, I never thought I was going to be a mom. So to go from being in this state of recovery to then being so healthy and having such a healthy pregnancy, it was like such a shift in my life.
So awesome.
Changed my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't recommend the Garrison therapy enough. And I didn't even follow the dietary protocols. I only followed the enema protocols. I ate meat and fat that entire time.
Okay, so should we restart it?
Let me see how much time we got on the... It looks like we're still good. We're good for like a while.
Oh, okay.
And I'm in no rush also.
Okay.
So as long as you want to chat, I'm down.
So, what did you just say? It triggered a question for me. You said
diet.
that the diet. So that is one of my questions. I am like one of those people like, okay, if I'm going to do this, I got it. I'm type A personality, unfortunately. Fortunately and unfortunately. But do you have to be eating like a perfectly clean diet and when you're detoxing, or can you detox even if you're not eating like everything that's perfectly healthy? And
That's a really great question. I also think it's a loaded question.
okay.
And the reason I think it's a little bit loaded is because I think a lot of people, they want like the results. At least me, when I first started this, I wanted so badly to eat all the crap. And I would still do it and I would hurt myself. And I got to the point where I got so committed to not doing it. And I went on a super restrictive diet for like a year and a half. I didn't eat processed sugar. I didn't eat gluten. I didn't eat dairy for like a year and a half. And then I went through the Garrison therapy and I got pregnant, and I started to add those things back in slowly. And I think I had started to add them back in slowly because I had healed a lot of that stuff and I could tolerate it, when before I could not tolerate it at all. And on my personal journey, as I've gone in and I've tried to add in like some of the crap, like experimented with soda, like experimented with pizza, experimented with like, more processed foods, I've found that I'm super hypersensitive to them. And so, like, I'll take a sip of soda and I regret it.
Wow.
My body, and maybe it's my nerves, like maybe my nerves make me more sensitive to things. I don't know. But I just noticed it so acutely. And I think that there is room for balance. There's no way to be completely perfect. I think there's room for balance. Like every once in a while, my parents come through and they love Fat Jacks. And we get Fat Jacks. And I eat Fat Jacks with my family.
And then you're sick.
Yeah. And then I am, and I regret it. And I'm like, gosh dang it, next time I'm not going to eat the Fat Jacks. But the next time they come through, I do anyway. Or Thanksgiving rolls around. And I love stuffing, but they didn't use the best bread for the stuffing. And I really want the stuffing. Or pie. I love pie. And we have the Pie Sisters in Salem. So I think there has to be room for balance. I just think that balance is going to be each person's own individual. But I think that there has to be, like, if you want the detox that you're doing to have lasting change, you have to be giving your body, at least for me, I have to be giving my body what my body needs. And I have to be consistent. And I have to, like, it's really changed my relationship with food, because it's not just because I'm hungry, it's because I'm giving my body the conditions and the environment it needs to support me and to be healthy and to feel good. And when you make those changes long enough, because it takes 2 months of a dietary change to make a difference and to like notice something. It takes 6 months to really like feel the effect. And then it takes up to 1 to 2 years for your body to then use that change to really heal.
Wow. Interesting. I have noticed when I have had times where I've gone off not eating sugar or not eating like fast food or something, and when I eat something sweet or I eat French fries or something, they are not what I expected or thought they were. And sometimes the sweet is too sweet for me. But it's interesting we let ourselves get back to where we're not sensitive to that again.
Yeah.
It's so frustrating. But
it is.
Yeah.
I feel like it's convenience. I think a lot of it is convenience. And like also your profession too. I think there is an actual study out there on this, but I don't remember the specifics, but it's on what nurses and like doctors, like medical personnel eat. We have some of the most unhealthy diets imaginable. And it's because our profession leaves no space for cooking.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Or healthy food. And like you look at what hospitals sell, and I think Intermountain actually has some pretty good, some okay options, but most of it's junk food and soda.
Yep.
Well, and food stamps. Do you know the number one item bought with food stamps?
What?
Soda.
Ugh. Thank goodness soda is not one of my problems. Thank goodness.
Yeah, soda is a hard one to kick. It's. Did you know that Coca-Cola actually pays millions of dollars to the Diabetes Association?
Oh, I believe it.
Yeah.
I was listening to something the other day. I don't know how real it is or not, but it was some doctor that, and I don't know if this is a conspiracy theory, but it was saying that Japan, to get the U.S. back from something lots of years ago, put something in foods that we eat that trigger diabetes.
Yeah. Well,
that would be a good biological warfare.
Yeah. I just learned, so I'm listening to this podcast currently. It's Tucker Carlson and Casey Means. And her brother's on there too. I can't remember the brother's name. But I'm only like 25 minutes into this podcast, and I've already learned that in the 90s, the cigarette companies were getting in trouble and going bankrupt and having all these problems because people are finding out they were causing lung cancer. And so what they did is they went and they bought these food companies. They bought the 2 food companies that were the conglomerates at the time. And they took all the scientists that were involved in making cigarettes addictive and put them towards making food addictive.
I believe it.
Yeah. We've been poisoned. And I don't even think the original intention was to like slowly kill us. I think the original intention was just to get us addicted. Make us eat a lot of it and make us addicted so we would never stop. It's money. It's really evil. Yeah.
So if someone wants to work on healing their microbiome, well, first of all, how does someone know that their microbiome is unhealthy?
That's a great question. The gut is so important, and there's so many variety of issues that can come up. And so things that you want to look for that I've learned along my path with my son, watching other people's experiences, my own experiences. You're looking for diarrhea or constipation. You're looking for bloating. You're looking for stomach pain. You're looking for skin issues. Skin issues are a big thing. You're also looking for immune issues. So if you get sick and you have a really hard time recovering, that's a really good sign that your gut is struggling. Poor digested food is another sign. I'm trying to think of any other ones that will come to me. And like constipation, I'm just going to clarify constipation because many people think it's like, oh, as long as you're moving like every 3 to 4 days, you're fine. No, you need to be having a bowel movement every day, minimum. It's so important. And when doctors say that it's not, that really irks me because it is.
So for someone who's having 3 or 4 bowel movements a day, could that be a negative? Could that be an indicator that their microbiome's not healthy?
Yes. So it depends on the kind of movement. If you're going 3 to 4 times a day and it's like solid, well-formed stool, you're probably fine. But if you're going 3 to 4 plus times a day and it's diarrhea and watery and undigested, your microbiome is struggling, and the cell lining of your gut, the mucus layer of your gut is struggling.
So in that event, like with your son, you knew that he wasn't digesting well. Is digestive enzymes more important at first than building up the microbiome again? Or is it kind of that, do digestive enzymes do anything to prevent the microbiome from building and doing it on its own?
So that was actually a question I posed to the doctor. I was like, how is this going to result in him not needing it anymore? Because the last thing I want is for my son to be stuck on a supplement for the rest of his life and absolutely need it. You know, the goal should be that we heal our bodies and we don't need things anymore, and we find a maintenance routine.
And you let your body heal you.
Yeah. And so when I asked this question, he said that's what the probiotic is for. So probiotics from various sources, and he described it as a seed. So when you're eating things that are pre and probiotic, it leaves like seeds for these different microbiome, these different bacteria in your gut to flourish and to grow and then to colonize. And so that's how we work on our microbiome, is eating a variety of food and also like touching the world around us and dirt and grass and, you know, eating. I've got like fermented red cabbage or beets or something in my fridge right now, and we've been doing raw milk, and we've been doing the yogurt that I buy has a pre and probiotic in it, and I've been trying to get like a new fermented thing every
So are you fermenting or you're buying them fermented?
I'm buying them fermented, but I do want in my lifetime to accomplish fermentation. I am fermenting my own apple cider vinegar right now, but it's my first time fermenting anything, and it's been a very interesting process. So
where are you getting your fermented food?
So have you heard of Good Earth Market?
Yeah,
they've got a lot of fermented options. There's also the Real Salt. Their stores, they've got one in Springville now, and there's one in Orem, and they sell raw milk there, and then they also have some fermented stuff too.
Okay, that is good to know. I've heard that fermented food is really good for you, for the probiotics in it.
Yeah. I mean, you can buy a probiotic too, but I think what I've learned is that, like, I still have the same probiotic I bought for him when he had a UTI in the fridge, and we still haven't finished it. And it's because I stopped giving it to him because I felt like he was getting too much of the same strains. So I think just by trying like a different fermented, like a small jar of different fermented food and like finishing that, I feel like we're going to be able to get more of a good solid
benefit from
base. Yeah. And I think for me, it's going to be a lifetime goal of just replenishing as much as I can and never stopping. I think there's so many layers to it, and just making it part of like daily life.
Well, at some point, I guess, if we're working on our microbiome, at some point, hopefully our goal is to get it healthy. So we need to continue adding probiotics to keep it healthy, or you mentioned prebiotics.
Yeah.
So what are prebiotics?
So I might butcher this. I'm not 100% sure, but this is my understanding of it. So prebiotics are more of something that's going to help prior to food being digested. So it like almost preps the body to digest, where probiotics actually actively help in the digestion process. And I might have butchered that, but that is how I understand it at this point in time in my life.
So I've kind of looked into it a little bit, and my understanding is different. So that now I don't know if I was understanding it right.
I haven't read up on it recently, so you might be right about it.
I think it's like a lot of prebiotics are fibers, so different fibers, and that is what your microbiome likes to eat and what keeps it healthy and what it thrives on.
Yeah.
But maybe it's different.
No, I think that actually is exactly along the lines of what I was saying.
Oh,
actually,
okay.
Is that it gets the gut ready, the microbiome. You just took it a step farther. It gets the microbiome ready and feeds the microbiome.
Keeps it healthy and robust and
Yeah, that makes 100% sense to me.
So a while back, I really feel like I was on a good path I feel like my microbiome was healthier. I had lost some weight, which was staying off. And I don't know if having an unhealthy microbiome causes you to have reflux, but I stopped having reflux. And I was doing pretty good. I was trying to avoid gluten. I think I really have a hard time with gluten, and I don't want to have a hard time with gluten. But at that time, what I was doing was taking both a probiotic and a prebiotic. And sometimes even if I didn't take a probiotic, I would take a prebiotic. And I really feel like both of those together worked really well. But then I ran out of the prebiotics that I had, and I still, even asking you which ones to get, I still haven't gotten them yet. But my question is, like, how often should you take prebiotics, and is it a daily thing, or?
Yeah, I think that there's different approaches you can take, and I think everyone's gonna have a different thing that's gonna fit their lifestyle. I think there's the approach of like, okay, I'm gonna get this probiotic, I'm gonna finish the bottle, and I think the wrong approach would be to get the same one. I think getting a different one,
just kind of building.
Yeah, and getting different ones, I think would be the approach that I was gonna take. The approach that I'm deciding to take, and this is a new habit that I'm building in my life, is finding it in my food.
Yeah.
And I feel it, like when I eat that
fermented beets
I've got in my fridge right now. My gut likes it. It makes it really, really happy, and I almost like crave it. And so I just have a little bit with lunch every day. And so I think that that's the approach that I'm choosing to take. And I think that it makes sense that it helped your reflux. And so I think that the reflux as in like acid buildup, right? Okay. So
like a burning,
yeah, I can't remember exactly the mechanism of action, but I was telling this to Peyton because she gets it too. Is that it's not actually too much acid, it's too little acid. And what happens is the acid that you have is struggling to break down the food that you have, and it gets really like frothy and irritated in its attempt, and then you get that up your throat, I believe is what is going on. Barbara O'Neill on She's got some channels
I like
on
Barbara
YouTube.
O'Neill. Mm-hmm.
She's got, look at her stuff on reflux and like acid. But she recommends taking cayenne pepper before meals because it stimulates the acid production and then eating.
And blood flow.
And blood flow to the gut. And it will actually help you be able to digest things and over time get rid of it all together, the reflux.
I actually listened to that, and I think I took cayenne pepper in apple cider vinegar. It was pretty hot. I think I gave myself too much. But I've been actually following her a little bit. In fact, I have her natural home remedies book. It's a big, thick book, and the only thing I have negative to say about it is it's not in an order that's easy to find one specific concern.
I could see that being an issue.
Yeah,
I could.
Yeah,
see
but
that being an issue.
I like the stuff that I've learned from her too. I just need to implement it all and get it working.
It's so hard. I remember first starting this health journey and getting so bogged down by how much I had to change. And so then I would make a plan, and I do this in my life everywhere, not just with this health journey, but I would make a plan and I would write down everything I needed to do perfectly. And of course the plan was unrealistic.
Yeah.
and so
but at least you're trying.
Yes.
And you're figuring out the most important things.
Yes, I agree. But what I would do is I would get so bogged down in how I wanted to do it in the plan of like how I would do it that then I would like stall and not do it. And then it would take me a really long time to like get back to it and like really start building up and like wanting to try again. And then the other thing that I do, and I do this everywhere in my life, is I'm a to-do list. I am a recovering to-do list addict is what I am. And I have all these plans of how I want to do things, like how I want to exercise and this perfect habit chart that I have to fill out perfectly and click all the stars, which is so unrealistic. But then when I don't achieve it, I've learned, I just did this program called Be You, and it's helped me really love myself. But one of the other things it's helped me realize is that I would use the perfect plan as a mask, and I would present myself very fake. And so I'd say, oh yeah, I do this, and this. And yeah, I'm trying to do those things, and I might do them sometimes, but I would present them as if I did them all the time perfectly. And it was very unrealistic and fake of me.
Yes.
So I'm recovering, but when I still do that, and I'm trying to catch myself doing that. And so for me, I finally found success in like starting and implementing these things when I just picked one thing and focused on one thing at a time.
And try to get that perfected or as a habit.
As a habit.
Like just part of your life.
Yes. Yes, please, go.
Okay. I have been drinking.
Okay, we're back.
Okay, so if someone is wanting to just get started on maybe trying to clean some toxins out of their body, maybe whatever you talked about, opening the exit pathways and all of that, what would be the best thing to do to start that?
I think that the best, first, and easiest thing to do is to drink more water.
Okay.
Drinking more water is in itself a detox because it helps flush things out of the body. It does help the digestive system. And so for someone who's like just starting and hasn't made any like big changes yet, drinking water is a great first step. If you're looking for like a more like advanced step after that, it depends on your resources. It's going to depend on your lifestyle. Breathing is a very, very, very good, cheap, affordable thing, and you would be surprised how much you can do with breathing, because like the Wim Hof method is a form itself of over-oxygenating your body. And so you can oxygenate your body by yourself for free.
Yeah, I watched a guy, he talked about, like doing something, basically like his own mini hyperbaric.
Yeah.
With breathing. And since then, I haven't, well, for a while I tried, and I can't even remember what it was then, but it's made me more aware of that we don't use our lungs to the fullest extent. So I really try to take deep breaths when I'm intentionally thinking about it and trying to do that belly breathing and open it all up but yeah, I need to learn more about that breathing.
Yeah, I think those are all really great first steps, by the way. Like the intentional breathing throughout the day, you have no idea how huge that is. It really is. Like, people don't realize it, but you're saying belly breaths, and I'm sitting over here practicing my belly breaths.
Yes.
Because I do that too. I do intentional breathing, and I've actually geared mine more towards birth prep too. Mm-hmm. So I do like intentional birth prep with, I do like this hook breathing. That's a belly breathing. So I go. Mm-hmm. And I this training gave me a mantra. One of the things I learned for myself is I really hold on to the how of things rather than focusing on the end goal. Mm-hmm. And so my new mantra that I am going to incorporate into this breathing that I just got this last weekend is I flow, I let go, I attract, because I chase everything. Mm-hmm. And I'm also working on. You're getting some love from Nike. But yeah, breathing is huge. The Wim Hof method is honestly something I need to do more of.
Wim Hof.
Wim Hof, yeah.
W?
W-I-M H-O-F-F, I think. There could be an H in there after the W.
Somewhere. Okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
I think it's just W-I-M, but I could be wrong. But his program, I wish he had more free content, but he's got some free content. But the knowledge of doing the breath and like how to do the breath is free. But then he has like apps that like help you track it and like help like walk you through the process, which is what he charges for.
Okay.
Oh. I'll be right back. Hello. So, ever since he started...
This is your son?
Yes, my son.
Okay.
Ever since he started the calcium supplement and like the regimen we've been doing for the rickets, he's been teething like crazy. So he's got like 4 teeth coming in right now. All at once. Yeah.
Poor guy.
Exactly. So I gave him some stuff for it. I've been giving him arnica. I don't know if you know what that is. It's a homeopathic remedy for pain. Mm-hmm. And they come in these like little sugar beads, and it works so well.
So awesome.
So I just gave him some of that, so we'll see if he needs me or not.
So that brings me back to the a question that I had when you were talking about the calcium that you were giving him that was not bioavailable.
Yes.
What calcium was that, or is that something we need to be aware of? So we're not taking the same.
So I think it's Dr. Christopher's Kid line.
Okay.
So it's an herbal supplement, and so it's honestly a really great supplement and a great supplement line if you're digesting and able to absorb and transform calcium into what you need. And I honestly thought I saw a difference when I was giving him the calcium, especially around when he was teething. Mm-hmm. But I just think that his gut just couldn't break down and process all of the things. So bioavailable, if it's bioavailable, the body can use it right away or in a couple steps. If it's not bioavailable, the body can't use it, or it's going to take a lot of steps for the body to be able to use it. Thanks for working with me.
So detoxing and opening the air or the pathways.
Yes. Okay.
Of detox to detox.
So, my favorite way to open up the bowel is enema.
Okay.
But there's a lot of doctors that say not to do that because it actually can wipe out the microbiome.
Okay.
So there's some mixed information on that one. I think it could be a tool that maybe you don't do all the time or you don't need eventually. That is a good thing to do. There's herbal options. Dr. Barbara O'Neill, she gives a recipe on how to cleanse the bowel, and she talks about how a lot of like constipation and opening up that bowel is habit, and so it's just a matter of changing that habit. So there's like a pelvic floor area where you can go and you can like actually do like Kegels. Here I am doing them, but where you strengthen that area and get it to move regularly, and then on top of like an herbal thing to help it go, that's you're looking for something that's non-habit forming. So there's Senna tea, which they've got like Senna pharmaceutical version of, but Senna tea you can use, but that one's habit forming. So the one that Barbara O'Neill gives, I can't remember the recipe.
Okay.
But she gives a tea recipe that moves naturally. And Dr. Christopher has a lower bowel formula that has all of the ingredients Dr. Barbara O'Neill recommends, but he has some additional ingredients in there, and his formula works very well as well.
And this is a bowel cleanse.
Yeah, and that's to open up the bowel. Urine, there's a couple of different things that you can do. Drinking water is a great start. But there's also things like, what is it called? It starts with an S. Sarsaparilla.
Okay.
Which is a urinary flush, basically. It just kind of flushes everything out. That's another option. There's other things that do that as well. Like niacin is a urinary flush. But I think the best one that I've found for me is Dr. Christopher's urinary combination. And they're just oral capsules that you take. And I was having really bad like lymph system issues around my kidneys and really bad infection. And his stuff was able to help me clear it up and keep it gone when I was trying other things and it wasn't working.
So when you're saying opening pathways, with the colon, it would be kind of getting yourself to have regular bowel movements.
Yeah.
So sometimes when I drink, apple cider vinegar in the morning, sometimes it will make me have a bowel movement, but it's usually loose. Is that an okay thing, or is that?
So it stimulates a bowel movement and it's loose. So is it like diarrhea, or is it like formed but soft, or is it like an in-between?
It's kind of in between.
An in-between? Is it well digested?
You know, when I've done it in the morning, it's I don't know, because I'm gonna pay attention now. But it's usually I haven't eaten anything. And I wondered if that wasn't a good idea to take apple cider vinegar on an empty stomach.
No, apple cider vinegar is great. So what it sounds to me like is happening, and I could be wrong, but so all the water absorption happens in our large bowel. So if you have something you take that stimulates you to just go fast, it sounds like it's because all the digestion happens in the small intestine. So if you're taking something and it's triggering that small intestine and the large intestine go whoop, it could just be it's not sitting in the large intestine long enough to absorb back all the water. So it's not necessarily a bad thing. It's just you're missing some water reclaiming steps that the bowel does. And that's not necessarily a bad thing if you're drinking a lot of water too on top of it.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. That's what I think is going on, but I could also be wrong.
Okay. So the opening the pathway just means
getting it out.
Making sure things are moving. So like taking this tea, you would take it routinely and you would just expect to have normal bowel movements.
Yeah. Yep.
So to go back to someone who's having 3 bowel movements a day, so if they're loose, maybe not as good, unless, if you're seeing undigested.
So if you're having loose, the area that I am thinking about is the mucous membrane around the gut. So there's this mucus lining that is the home of the microbiome, and it surrounds our gut lining, and it's part of the large gap junctions that we get. It's a really important step that a lot of us have eroded out of our gut, me included. I've learned it's actually a part of my constipation problem. But basically, slippery elm is my go-to thing. Part of my gut issues are nerve damage too. But when I have a niece who has been on a lot of medications and they've really messed up her gut. And if her parents were to ask me the number one thing that I would recommend, it would be slippery elm. And her problem is she has loose all the time, especially around dairy or certain things trigger it. And I would recommend slippery elm. It's an herb and you can get it in a powder. And I just literally put a little bit on top of some water and I shoot it. You can get it in capsule form though too. And Dr. Christopher has a pre-capsulated form that I think has something additional in it. It's called Smooth Digestion. But I think it's cheaper to just buy as an herb. It's such a sought after herb. It's on the more expensive side.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So if you're having loose bowel movements and solid bowel movements, as long as they're formed, that would be considered normal, right? Do we worry about color?
It depends. If you're seeing a ton of green consistently, you're worried that you're not digesting certain things, or maybe you're eating certain things that your body's not digesting. Green is an interesting color that you don't really want to see because usually that green stuff is what your body needs. So if your body's not digesting things and taking out what it needs, we're concerned. The other ones are tarry, gray. If you're having a ton of that, it could be a bile issue, a liver issue. When you do the Garrison therapy, the coffee enema cleanse, you get that tarry type stool, and you expect that towards the end of it, because that's what you're doing is getting a lot of bile stuff going on. But there could be other issues that you might be concerned about if you see that. And then you don't want to see anything black or tarry, you're worried about bleeding if it's like that. And then I've noticed that my healthiest poops are paler. But I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
So what about more yellow in color? Does that have anything to do with bile?
That one doesn't have anything to do with bile that I'm aware of, but I would think more towards the green line of things.
Okay.
Is there something missing in the microbiome that's causing us to not absorb something specific?
Okay.
That's where my mind goes. I could be wrong. There might be a poop expert out there that knows better than
So
me.
if you're having plenty of bowel movements as you're taking different things to help cleanse your body, then that pathway's open.
Yes.
And with opening the urinary pathway, what are we working at this way? If you're urinating plenty, then does that mean it's open?
Yes.
Okay.
With, so for me, I think I hurt my kidneys because I was taking too many organ supplements.
Oh, okay.
So, but I took high doses of organ supplements for probably 2 years. So I learned from that, and I was like, okay, I can't take too much of that. I have to bring in some plants back in. So now I'm taking the organs when I feel like I need them and I'm like craving them, and I take mostly an herbal based, like multivitamin green powder.
Okay.
So I think it depends on the person. So like if you're gonna take a lot of things that are hard on the kidneys, it's probably a really good idea to take something that's going to strengthen and support those kidneys to do their function. And also, if you're going to be doing detoxes for like a long time, or you're going to be even doing a short detox, but you feel like your kidneys need support, it wouldn't hurt to take something like the urinary one from Dr. Christopher's line. And I speak of Dr. Christopher because he's what I know, and he's what I've used on myself. But I'm sure there are other brands out there too that are great.
Okay. And then the other pathway was breathing. So that's just doing some breathing, intentional breathing, or breathing the
Wim Hof method.
Wim Hof breathing. And then the other one was sweating. So if you sweat plenty, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay.
If you sweat plenty, that means it's open. So that means that like those are all signs that it's safe to detox. And with the breathing, I would add that it's really important to breathe through your nose at night. Okay. So, like, I haven't had my tape. I ran out of tape. And even though I've had it on my list, I haven't picked it up, and it's been months. And I need to get it back because I miss it. And I notice, like, my mouth is dry when I wake up. And I'm like, gosh.
Oh, you're like, darn it.
Dang it, I did it again.
Okay, so once you know the pathways are open, are there some things that we can just, I mean, I know that lemon juice is good for you, apple cider vinegar is good for you, I've heard ginger helps with different things. So would there be like a drink or something that we could add to trying to eat plenty of good fruits and vegetables and a mixture of, good proteins that would help to suck out those toxins?
So,
and also you mentioned the liver, and I have heard like you want to like get the liver, you want to help the liver flush things through. So is that all part of the detox, or do you need to do something to prepare your liver?
So it depends on what kind of detox you're looking to do. I recommend doing a parasite cleanse. Something that's going to get heavy metals out, which could be just a general detox. You want to do a liver cleanse, and you also want to do a systemic cleanse. And all of those things you want to do with your 4 pathways open.
Okay.
So with the parasite cleanse, I wish I had known this when I did the Garrison therapy for the first time, but I did the Garrison therapy, and I wish I had followed it up with an additional parasite cleanse. But I just did Dr. Christopher's VF syrup. It's a parasite cleanse. You take a teaspoon in the morning and a teaspoon at night. And it helps to get rid of the parasites, because the parasites are what tell they hide themselves from our body, and they start sending signals to our brain. So a lot of sugar cravings and a lot of carb cravings are parasites.
Oh,
so if you,
interesting.
Yep, and also what they use to hide themselves from the body just so happens to be heavy metals. So if you can get rid of the parasites, you're getting rid of things in your body that want these heavy metals and these toxins. So it's a good one to start with. But you take a teaspoon in the morning and a teaspoon at night for 3 days.
So this would be the order you would do it in: parasite, liver cleanse, and then systemic cleanse.
Yeah, I would do the systemic cleanse last. And so the Garrison therapy is kind of a combination of parasite, systemic, and liver.
Okay.
And then I would have followed it up with a parasite if I had known what I know now. But the parasite's a good one to start with. But you do that for 3 days, and then on the 4th day you take Senna-T and flush everything out. I did some enemas too when I did it, and then you rest for 3 or 4 days, and then you do it again. And then depending on how you feel, you rest for 3 or 4 days and you do it again.
Okay.
My mom is actually doing it. One of my moms is actually doing it right now. And she is the most intense sugar cravings. All she wants is sugar, and it's because they're dying off. and they're trying not to die. I had the same thing. All I wanted was sugar and carbs.
Interesting.
Yeah. So cool. So we were talking about this BU training, and you asked me why it's so hard for us to love ourselves. And
we tell everybody else. We know. I mean, what you and I believe, we know that we are so valuable to our Savior that He died for us. Why can't we internalize that and accept ourselves and love ourselves like He does?
Yeah. And for me, it's because I was carrying around these labels that came from a little girl who didn't see the big picture. These labels of I couldn't have a voice because my dad told me once that I shouldn't talk so much because it annoyed people. And rather than seeing, oh, he's overstimulated, he's got too much going on, he's just trying to give me advice on how to interact with people. But that little girl was shattered.
Yeah. And
so then that little girl felt like to fit in and to be loved and to be seen, she had to have no voice. Which is a huge part of why I've known about this podcast and wanting to have this podcast for 4 years, more than 4 years, 5 years. And I'm only starting it now because BU has given me my voice back. It's because I had this label of feeling like I was crazy because my parents went through a rough divorce, and because my mom has mental health issues, and because my dad used the word crazy. And sometimes he would call me that. And he didn't mean that I was actually crazy. He said, hey, you're having a lot of emotions right now, and you're a lot, and you're overstimulating me. And he did the best that he could. But we all of us, we have these little things that happen in our childhood that we couldn't understand the big picture, and we only experience them. I have this label that I carry around that is fake. I'm fake because I was caught in a lie. And so I always had to be right because that lie I was caught in wasn't my own lie, and I was following someone else. And so I had to always be right because they were right, and they blamed it all on me. So, okay, now I have to be right problem, and I'm a fake. These labels and these patterns we're carrying around our whole lives. I'm worthless because I remember breastfeeding. And my mom wouldn't breastfeed me anymore. And my dad was angry. And I didn't understand the situation, and that my dad wanted my mom to stop breastfeeding and that she was doing her best. And I just remember wanting to have this close connection with my mom that she never knew how to replace. And here I am, a 2.5-year-old. And my dad is taking me across the country to get me away from my mom.
So she couldn't breastfeed you?
So she wouldn't breastfeed me. And all I remember is him being angry, my mom being so distraught, and I also have this pain and this victim mentality that came from the only time my mom would breastfeed me was when I got hurt. So I learned all of this about myself. And I was like, oh, I do this because of that. And then there was other things that happened older in my life that like cemented these patterns. And so I had these labels that are not who I am. They're not who I am, and they're not who my Savior sees me as. But yet that's what I was carrying around, and I did not love myself. I didn't even know how to love or connect with myself.
And we don't give ourselves the break that we would give to anyone else.
To anyone else.
Anyone else.
We don't know how.
Yeah.
So I went through this program, and I can tell you now that I am an open, genuine, worthy woman. And by being open and genuine, I create connection. And because of that, I influence people, and I inspire people to want to be worthy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, you do.
Thank you, I know. That's who I am.
Yes.
And even though I feel sometimes to be open and I disassociate again, I get to choose to be open. And now I even know that I have that choice I can make.
Yeah.
this program is changing lives. It changed my life.
Be you.
Be you.
Okay, friend.
I gotcha. Come here.
We've got friends here, don't we?
Yes. Huh. Hello.
Well, that is really interesting. So, it makes me wonder why you hear of the ACE study. You've heard of the ACE study.
Yeah.
And we know that there's some people that are more sensitive to toxins.
Mm-hmm.
And there's some people, or maybe there's some people that don't seem to be affected by the toxins that we're exposed to, or by food sensitivities or whatever. Do you think that maybe these adverse childhood experiences affect people in that way, that toxins affect them more? They can't, like, is there a connection there, do you think?
100%. I think that the line we have drawn between mental and physical health is the most arbitrary line that has been ever drawn. Mental and physical health are so intertwined. And the fact that we don't treat patients that way really makes me angry. When I started this healing journey, it was because I wanted to become physically healthy. But there hasn't been a single step that hasn't involved mental growth and mental healing. Even this BU training I did. I got done with the first day of part 2. And I had a headache all day. I was like, what is going on? It's like, okay, maybe I'm dehydrated, I've been busy. So I drank a bunch of water, nothing happened. So I'm like, okay, I go to my meditative state. I'm like, okay, I just need to accept this pain. It's trying to tell me something. So I accept the pain and the headache gets worse. And then we're driving home and Roberto's driving and I'm in the passenger seat and we're almost home and I'm like getting physically ill. I'm like, what is going on with me? And I've done like lots of energy work and I could just tell there's a lot of energy, but my brain was like on fire. And I'm just trying to accept it and let it do what it needs to do so it'll go away. And I just had this thought in my head, go to the grass. And my husband parks the car and I'm lucky it was a warm day and there was no snow on the ground because there's snow on the ground now. But I crawled out of the car, went to the grass, and I was on all fours with my forehead on the floor.
Okay, you took your shoes off.
Took my shoes off.
You did the grounding.
Yes.
Okay.
Took my shoes off, palms on the floor, my feet were on the ground, my balls of my feet and my heels were up and my forehead was on the ground. And I was shaking as all of this energy rushed out of me. And when I say my head was on fire, it was literally on fire. And now I think I'm the only person that experienced this. I mean, Roberto had a couple headaches and like energy moving around. Mm-hmm. But I literally, like, my whole brain just was like on fire. And all of this energy shot into the ground. And I can't even repeat the shaking that I was doing. It's like I was convulsing as all of this energy left me. And I haven't been able to put my glasses on without getting a headache since.
Interesting.
I have no words. It's very interesting.
So how are you going to get back to being able to wear your glasses?
So this whole experience has, I feel like it's almost like connected my heart to my brain. Mm-hmm. And then I feel like really connected to God. Mm-hmm. And I feel really aware of the adversary and when he tries to influence me. And I feel really aware of like the strong revelation that I get. And then I'm working on becoming more aware of like the still small voices that come in. And so through this new connection that I feel like I have with Heavenly Father, I've been praying and asking him what I'm supposed to do with this glasses issue. And I've had this plan where I've wanted to work on my vision holistically for a really long time. And I feel he's like, okay, push you off the cliff and you're just doing it now.
You're doing it.
And I've been scared to do it because it involves not wearing glasses because you have to work your eyes out. And it involves literally putting cayenne pepper in your eyeballs.
Okay.
Yes. Which is scary.
Yes.
Like, that's a huge cliff to jump off.
Yes,
3 times a day.
Yes, that is.
Yes.
It's hard enough to put it in your mouth.
Yes, it is. So I'm doing this. It's by Dr. Christopher. You have this little eyeglass, and you put water in it, and then you put the extract in it, and you put it to your eye, and you flip it, your head back, and you blink. And get it in your eye, and then you.
So it's the cayenne pepper in water.
Do the other one.
Okay.
Yep.
So have you done it?
This is my 3rd day, so I've done it twice. I still have to do it one more time today.
Okay.
And it's hard, but it's kind of like taking cayenne pepper by mouth. You take it by mouth, and then it gets easier the more and more you do it, and you feel the health benefits of it, and so then you want to do it more. Like apple cider vinegar too.
Yeah.
You feel the benefits, and then it starts to taste good. The burn.
Yeah. And you crave it sometimes.
I'm not quite to the craving of the eyeball cayenne pepper.
No, I wouldn't. That would be a hard one.
I'm hoping to get there. I'm hoping to see results. I haven't seen any yet, but I'm only on day 3. And I told Roberto that if nothing happened by 6 weeks, that I'd go back to the eye doctor and get my prescription renewed.
It's interesting how some things that we just cover with a Band-Aid can be fixed by something that maybe we just need to change or do different.
Hard work.
Hard work.
Yeah. It's interesting because exactly what you say is like we have all these little Band-Aids, but these festering wounds underneath. And instead of clearing out the festering wound, we just keep replacing the Band-Aid.
Yeah.
And that's honestly what I feel B did. Like all of that emotional stuff, all of that baggage I was carrying around everywhere, it helped me unload it and be free of it. And it's not like that stuff doesn't also creep in. And it's not like it was a one-fix-all solution. But it gave me the tools that I need to come out and then be able to keep it off if I choose to.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And it was the program being brought to us was totally by God. Like, he literally dropped it in our laps and was like, you need to go to this. And we were like, okay, but how are we going to afford it?
Yes, and Roberto liked it. It was...
Yeah. It's... You'll have to ask about him himself, but... you walk in the grocery store and you try to make eye contact with someone, and no one makes eye contact with you.
No, they don't.
It's like we're zombies.
You try to smile at someone because they say, smile to make somebody's day, and they almost turn away.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
We're zombies.
I agree.
And so, BU for me, it rehumanized me. I didn't realize that I was walking around in life so disassociated, hiding behind all of this knowledge that I had gained, rather than really connecting with people. I don't know if you've noticed that, but I'm really trying to connect. And rather than just being like, oh, you have this issue, blah, 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 blah. Oh, you have this issue, it relates to me this way. This is the knowledge I know. And that's how I'm really going to connect and influence people. By connecting with myself first. I didn't even know how to connect with myself before this program.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of it, I believe a lot of it is mental. And this sister that has dealt with so much abuse through her life, she has so many health issues that doctors can't explain. She looks up things and tries to diagnose herself to try to find some relief to it. And if a doctor doesn't agree or follow along with her line of thinking about what is wrong with her, she goes to another doctor. And I do wonder if a lot of the health issues she's dealing with is due to the abuse.
I know for me, when I was little and there was that breastfeeding thing, I associated pain with being loved. I had to be a victim in pain. Something had to be wrong with me for me to be loved and connected to. So, and when I was in 2nd grade, my dad accidentally broke my arm on the tramp, and it was a bad break. And it was like both of my bones in my arm was like this, a T. And my dad actually reset it in our dining room. Took me to the hospital, reset it so well that I didn't need surgery when I would have needed surgery before, and my bone would have poked out of my skin. And then all of a sudden my dad was giving me one-on-one attention. And he just was giving me all this love and affection, and he was so sorry, and it reinforced this idea in my mind that I had to be in pain, I had to be a victim to be loved. And so even though, like, my vaccine injury, very real, my injury to Gadavist, very real, but also in my mind I was seeking of a way to be a victim and to be in pain, and that 100% played into my condition.
Yeah. And maybe that is what it is, because it is almost like she's having a hard time separating herself and staying away from her abuser. What do they call that? Stockholm syndrome?
Stockholm syndrome.
But it kind of messes with my mind, because I'm like, how could she be wanting, like, some of these horrible things that he's doing to her? He throws money at her when he'll buy her big things, take her on big trips. Anyway, he pretends like he's wealthy when he's really, just not paying taxes, on his businesses or whatever, and that's why he's got plenty. And but it's almost like she is just so pulled back to that. Like, we're giving her as much love and we're discouraging, and she told her daughter, the more you tell me that you don't want to have anything to do with him, and so you won't have anything to do with me if I go back to him, the more I want to go back. It doesn't make sense. Like, nothing makes sense.
Yeah. If you had told me you're in pain and you're looking and seeking pain and seeking disease and wanting to be a victim because of these things that happened in your childhood, the patterns that I had made no sense, because the patterns were made from the perspective of a little girl who didn't understand the big picture. And that's how all of us live. And so I take a step back and I look at my mom, one of my moms, and she was abused as a child. And she has a really hard time in relationships. And she picks bad men. Men that take advantage of her. Men that put up their end of the bargain and never follow through. And I see this pattern in her because, number one, she feels like a failure. She feels worthless. She doesn't love herself, and so she doesn't hold a high standard of how she should be loved. And she loves with money because the only way she felt loved as a child was when someone bought her food or a coat. And so that's the only way she knows how to give.
Interesting. What is interesting to me is we can be raised under the same roof with the same parents, and the way things affect us are so individual.
Yeah.
So things that affected her in a negative way I just blew off. But then there were things that happened to me, or not happened, just I experienced,
Yeah.
that I'm sure are more significant to me than her. But I just often wonder how we can have such different outcomes when we experience the same things, and you can scream at the top of your voice, not that I scream, but you feel like you want to say, just exactly what we're talking about. I sent a message to her today, this very same thing. You are better than, and you deserve better than that circumstance that you want to go back to.
Yeah.
You deserve better.
She does.
But the same thing that you talked about disassociating, or she is not herself, she is her situation. I don't even know how to explain that, but I don't think she knows who she is without being that person that goes through these abusive cycles or these abusive events that she goes through, and then gets showered with
love.
Monetary things, yes.
The
To
way
her,
that
love
she
is monetary.
perceives love.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you're spot on. I think somewhere in her childhood, something happened where money and a monetary item is what made her feel love. And so now she craves the situation that, even though it's bad for her and she deserves better, she doesn't feel like she actually does. But she craves that thing that he gives her, that monetary value.
You want to save him.
She can only save herself.
Yeah. Yeah.
If she goes through this program, and if she puts even an inkling of work in, she will be able to see it and choose. Because she'll see a choice that she never knew she had, because she'll know herself.
That she's okay.
That she's okay. She's good inside.
Yeah.
Because I know that I'm good inside now. I can love myself and connect to myself and that little inner child. And I was never able to really do that before.
So what is interesting is she is opposite of appearing insecure.
She puts on a face as if she's got it all together.
And you think she believes that she's wonderful and superior, and she's got a nice car. She's starved herself. She's got a skinny body. She tells you how beautiful people tell her she is. It's just so, like, it gets so jumbled in my mind. It's hard to understand, and from my point of view, I'm completely opposite. I really dislike divas or people that think that it is so important to look perfect and beautiful, and like, I detest that almost to a point of it being negative for me, because I struggle to connect with people that appear to be that way.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting to me that she is complete opposite of that.
Yeah. As I learn about my siblings and I try to connect with my siblings, I'm learning that we had very different childhoods, even though we were in a similar situation.
Yes.
It's very bizarre how much changed after I left the house that I didn't realize that impacted them so drastically. And I think they don't realize and they don't see how the beginning of my childhood, when they weren't around or when they weren't quite aware, impacted me.
Yeah. When my mom passed away, and we as siblings were talking about our mother, which my mother is an angel. She's a saint. The things that they spoke of her, I was like, you were raised by a different mother than I was. Completely different mother. So, which makes sense. We do. We change as life goes on, as we get more tired. And as life, just kind of takes its toll on us. But this is a sister that's the closest to me. She's the one just younger than me. But we did, like, the same experiences that she had that I had was interpreted
so
different. Yeah. So when you're talking to a sibling who had such a different perspective that really affected them, it's hard to not discredit them.
Yeah.
When you say, oh, I didn't see it that way, and I didn't feel it that way.
Yeah.
So it's hard to be able to understand, even when you grew up in the same house. Yeah. And it's just interesting why it affects people. I mean, our brains are different, our bodies are different. We are such individuals.
We are.
It just like that just tells me that over and over again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can pause it if you need to take it.
Okay. No, I'm going to go in just a minute. It's my son, and he's my one that's home from a mission. He is most connected to me, and he worries about, where are you? Are you, when are you going to be home? I'm like, I'm not used to this. You've been gone for 2 years. And all of a sudden, I've got a babysitter.
He cares.
Yes, he does. I love him so much. I have needed him, but
yeah,
for sure.
Oh. Well, when you guys get signed up for BU,
exactly.
let me know, and I'll see if I can staff. And I'd love to meet your sister, because the way you describe her, it sounds like she's beautiful.